This is my new career, by the way.
Announce the host.
The Boulder City Sports Network is sponsored by Superior Builders, Inc. of Nevada, building spec residential and commercial with our investment partners for nearly 20 years. Contact Aaron at sbinevada.com for more information. And the I&I Music and Podcast Studio. If you're interested in using the studio, you can contact Dawn at iandimusic.studio. And EV Park, revenue-generating charging stations for apartments, hotels, offices, and short-term rentals. Contact sales at evpark.com to find out how your property...
You're on.
All right, before we get too far into this, we're going to make sure we have audio. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me over here?
Yeah, can you hear Bubba?
I don't know yet.
Oh, we're waiting on the YouTube delay.
Okay.
You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? It's
Gotcha,
like a
gotcha.
20-second delay.
So we could just fill the time with tap dancing.
Yeah.
All right, we could be here. We could be
Welcome
heard.
back, Coach. Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
you got sound?
All right.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. It's always a setting or two. Welcome back, Coach Mariani.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
guys have me tonight. Felsi is out doing some UNLV stuff, so he's in Vegas tonight. And tonight I'm doing the show. Thanks for coming, joining us,
Absolutely.
Coach. Let's talk about last week's game first. Let's start with the recap on last week's game. We suffered a loss to Slam, but there were some parts that looked good.
Yeah.
You know, I thought there were some things we did good. Tell me about the game from your perspective.
I thought we played better than we have in the last few weeks. You know, I think having Gage back, it kind of opened our running game. He looked a little bit more comfortable this week, and with him and Sam, we really ran the ball well early. Our defense, I was very happy with the way we played in the first half. We went down and scored, and it was 14-6. And when we kicked off, we just didn't do a good job on the kickoff team. They had a huge return at that point, and it just kind of was a backbreaker, you know. And then at that point, we get the ball back with a little bit of time before half, and we've got to try and throw the ball. That really wasn't what we were doing very well. And, you know, it just kind of snowballed from there. We made some adjustments at halftime and had a few little mental lapses, and those kind of led to big plays. But I told the kids after the game, I was happy with the energy and the effort that we got Friday night. If we had that the last 3-4 weeks, I think those games would all be a little bit different. You know, it felt like we were playing with some heart. It didn't come out the way we wanted it to at the end, but I was very proud of the way the kids played Friday night.
Yeah, right on. So was I. You know, I thought they came out with good energy too. You know, a lot of plays just didn't go away.
Right.
Some of those things didn't connect. Some of the special teams was off.
Right.
You know, punting. But
That
overall,
wind killed our punt.
Yeah.
But did you see the one that went right into the
Right in the
garbage can?
trash
That was
can,
pretty
man.
impressive. We should have gotten some points for that.
you should have.
cool.
Yeah. The band kids were all super stoked about that. They don't see the ball too often.
No.
So tell me about in the second half. You guys came out and you looked pretty good. The first half, well, let's talk about the first half first. As I remember the game, you guys looked real good coming out of the first half. We held them to nothing for the first quarter, most of the first quarter, was it? Yeah. So I was impressed right off the bat. I thought, hey, man, this isn't going to be, you know, that bad of a game if we can stay in it this way. But then they started scoring and we let some people get out on the edge.
Right.
We usually get beat around that edge. Tell me about your defense and what you're doing for that.
We kind of simplified stuff this week, and really we had a couple different blitzes according to the formation that came out, and that's just kind of what we were doing. We're kind of manning up and going from there. And we just had a couple guys didn't get to their spot. You know, I was watching the film, I was pretty happy with the way we were playing. It was one guy was out of position, and they had the speed to just break it, and then we weren't going to catch him after that, you know.
Yeah, the other thing I like is your O-line. Your O-line has improved
Right.
throughout the course of the season. I've been impressed with that, just watching them get better every week. And now the Gage is back. They gave him plenty of time to pass. But even when Cam was in there, they were, you know, giving
Right.
him plenty
Yeah.
of time to pass. So I've been impressed with the O-line. Shout out to those guys. And you brought the captains with you tonight, so we're
Yes.
going to hear from them as well. Who do you got this week?
This week we play Pahrump, and you know it's one of those things where we know it was a little sad today when one of the guys at the school came out and he's in charge of painting the lines for the girls flag football and came into my office and was like, "Hey, when are you guys what's going to be the last day you guys are on the field? Because I got to paint those lines and do all that. And I was like, it's today. Today's the last day. You know, it was rough. But going into this week, we play Pahrump. They're a playoff team. They're actually playing for a home playoff game. If they win, they get a home playoff game. So one of the things we've got going for us is we can ruin their playoff experience. You know what I mean? Going out there and getting a win. And I told the kids, kind of no matter what happened throughout the year, if we can go out and end on a win, that's huge. You know what I mean? That kind of being able to take that momentum with the younger kids and stuff like that. And even with the seniors, like I want these seniors to go out with a win. They deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're such a great group of kids that like I've really enjoyed coaching the last 2 years. And I really want that for them. You know, I want them to go out and be able to play hard, play good, and end with a victory.
Yeah, Parump's a beatable team, you think, right?
I think so. I think everybody's been a beatable team,
Sure.
you know, and that's one of the things that we've kind of laughed about all year is, you know, when we played the Mawapa, it was a Mawapa team that isn't as good as they've been in the past. Slam wasn't as good as they've been in the past. Like everybody kind of had a little bit of a down year that it's been very frustrating because we should be able to hang in these games, if not win, you know, and it's just, it hasn't worked out that way. And sometimes that's just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, well, this last week wasn't your final game, but this is the last show of the
Right.
season. You've got an away game coming up. We brought in the captains to talk to. Tell me your favorite game of this season so far.
I loved the like we had that stretch 3 weeks in a row with Sunrise, Losi, and then wasn't there another one that was like came right down to the end? Mater. Yeah, like that was so fun. And I know we ended up only winning 1 out of the 3, but those were the games that are fun. You know what I mean? Like and even in the middle of it, like I remember like looking at Coach Renner, is like, this is awesome. This is fun. You know, where you have to like think about stuff. You've got to set stuff up. You've got to make decisions and do all that stuff. And then the kids are going out there to perform. And that was, I say that 3-game stretch was probably the most fun I've had in a long time coaching, where there was actual stakes and things that like you had to make adjustments and things like that. And a lot of times in high school football, that's not really the case. You know, you look at a lot of the scores and it's, you know, a team wins by 3 or 4 touchdowns, and early in the game you get to do those things. But for 3 weeks in a row, we were doing that right up to the end. And I absolutely loved that.
So what was the team that you thought, man, we really should have won that game?
I've got 7 of those right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. 100%.
Which one's the most? Which one do you think, man, for sure, without a doubt, there was no reason we lost that? We could have won that game.
I really go to the Mater game.
Mater game,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? That was the one, and I think if we win that, we make the play right at the end. I think that momentum kind of shifts. You know, that was a huge emotional game because Easton had gotten hurt earlier in that game, and like you could just feel it on the sidelines. And I think if we win that game, losing Easton is horrible for us, but it's, hey, we could still do it. You know what I mean? And losing it the way we did, I feel like it was just, you could kind of feel the air 100% leave the room when that happened, you know? And I think that was probably the most crushing one for us.
Yeah.
You know?
And Mater was super stoked, man.
Yeah.
You would have thought they won the Super Bowl. They
Yeah.
were so stoked
Yeah.
about beating Boulder City. So you know what? Good on them.
Yeah.
You know, they got to win against Boulder City this
Right.
season. Bring it next season.
Right.
We'll see what's up.
Yeah.
Good part is we get
We're
to do
excited.
this
Yeah.
every 10 months or so.
Exactly.
So, you know, so we'll be right back around. Tell me about your favorite play of the game. Now, this is the final coaches show. You know, I like to talk about what was your favorite play.
My favorite play of the year.
Yeah, favorite play of the year so far.
think it
I mean,
goes
there's still
back
another
to,
game, but
I think it goes back to that Mater game too, and just the excitement. I've got to say too, the excitement of the interception right at the end, running it back when it kind of felt like backs were against the wall. Oh, that was Losi, wasn't it? Yeah, so against
Yeah,
Losi,
that was
and
a good
then the field goal against Sunrise. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like those two are things that like definitely I'll remember forever. You know.
yeah. Wasn't there a touchdown pass thrown in the Mater game too?
Right
It
at
went
the end,
Yeah.
they scored the touchdown right at the end.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking. I've got a highlight. I'll go back and look through them.
So-
Yeah, right on. You know, I always like to ask about parents. What was the parent-coach experience of this season? What did you learn? You learn anything new about Boulder City and dealing with the parents?
No, I think everybody kind of understands what we're doing. And it's one of those things where, especially like the football parents, the parents that were involved and know what's going on, they saw, because the injuries pretty much struck every household involved with the high school this year. So it wasn't really a surprise, and I think it's one of those things where like you definitely saw the support, and a lot of the parents were like, man, I don't know what's going on, so everybody kind of understood where we were at and kind of what was happening. Cause it really was something that everybody I talked to and kind of explain kind of what's gone on, and like my friends from back home and, talking to them and stuff like that. Like, I think people think I'm exaggerating kind of the trials and tribulations that we went through this year. And it was real. Like, we had enough kind of bad things happen to a team that most teams don't experience this in a 4 or 5 year period.
Right.
And we got it all in 3 or 4 weeks, and it just kind of lingered throughout the rest of the year, So
yeah.
I think the parents definitely understood. And I was very happy with the amount of support that they kind of continued for the kids. And I know it's tough, and especially those senior parents that, like, a lot of them know that this might be the last time that they see their boys play football, and that's something that's hard with football, especially because if you don't go on and play at the next level, there's no like beer league football team that you can do. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like baseball where you could play, the adult leagues or softball, and you kind of still have that like, oh, I can still watch them go out and play. Football's different, after when you turn those pads in, if you're not playing in college, it's that's the end, and it's a very hard reality for the kids. And I think sometimes it's even harder for the parents and especially the dads that have kind of gone through that, where you have that realization of like, this, we don't get to do the locker room anymore. There's no more bus rides. There's no more, summer practices and all those things that suck when you're in them. It's horrible when you don't have them anymore, and I think our parents did a good job kind of supporting the kids, knowing that kind of where we were at and what was happening and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I saw that too. There was a lot of support, even at this last home game. The fans were all showed up,
right? And that's something that I attribute
awesome
to being an awesome Boulder City experience. I've been at other places and and like even back home in Chicago and stuff like that, and seen teams that they're not going to make the playoffs, and things kind of happen and it's not a good year, and you get to like the last home game and it's basically just the moms and dads are there. You know what I mean? And like, that's not how we do things out here. And I think that is absolutely awesome. I think we're definitely going to be working to put a good quality product out there every year, but knowing that you've got the support of the town makes it so much better for the kids. It really is an unbelievable place to be playing football, to be coaching football, to be just around to watch the football. It really is incredible.
Right on. Thanks for saying that, Coach. Yeah. So now we're at the tail end of the season. We have one more game, but this is our last Coach's Show, like I said, so we can talk about a few things.
Yeah.
In all honesty, what were you expecting this season, right? Because we had Gage coming back. We had Easton. I don't think you planned on Sam playing running back all season long.
We did. That was the plan.
So tell me, walk me through what your expectations, what you really thought the season was going to be like before it started.
On my dream board at home, that's only got a couple punch marks in it at this point. Our expectation and genuinely, everybody's goal is, we're going to win a state championship. That's not a realistic goal all the time. I really felt this year we had the pieces to make a run, because like I said, we kind of knew everybody was a little down this year, that we had some more talent than other people had, that we'd be able to use and manipulate and kind of get in the right spots. And, our kind of goal, and I had talked to some of the boys before the year, and, if you ask my wife and stuff like that, like I really felt we were past the second round of the playoffs and either going up north or having an up north team come down to us. That was my expectation. I didn't know if we can go further than that, but I thought that's where we can get this year. And I've said it on here and I've said it everywhere. I really, at the beginning of the year, felt like we could shatter every single passing record in not just 3A, but in the state of Illinois. I'm going so far back. In the state of Nevada this year, and that's one of those things that, like, I look back on it and I will readily admit I've watched it more than I should, but like that first quarter against Valley, like we had it. You know what I mean? And it's really a year of like what could have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can kind of say that a little bit now. But it's every year I'm going to have high hopes. This year, my hopes were really, really high. And, next year I'm going to be just as excited as that next group, and we'll kind of set the goals accordingly and like what we can do. And, I kind of always a little bit more modest with when I talk to the boys, but like I definitely am very realistic with the stuff that I think we could do. And those were some of the things that I really thought where we would be at the end of this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I thought the same thing, man, coming in after last season.
Yeah.
We lost some instrumental pieces on the O-line.
Right.
But I thought that we made up for it in spades and what we were bringing back this season.
Exactly.
And I think we all felt the same way. I know me as a highlights guy, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be another year of Gage and Easton. This is going to be nuts. Brady's gone, but I didn't know who was going to step up in Brady's place. It kind of felt like Aiden Cherney, Hobbs.
Yeah, we had
right?
everybody kind of had little moments, and that was the thing that like there were definitely like glimmers of like, all right, this is going to be the guy, and it wasn't necessarily like that guy that then didn't do it. It was as a team we couldn't get it to where then we can just really rely on that one person because we just it was a revolving door of guys coming in, revolving door of like having to set up different offenses, kind of looking at different defenses, because for a good bulk of the season, there was like a 3-4 game stretch where we were really working with like a skeleton crew. I look at it again and I saw the sheet not too long ago of, in the summer, I kind of penciled in where I thought our starters would be and doing all that. And we went through a 3-week period where 22 of our 22 starters, 1 week we had like 17 out. 1 week we had 14 out. 1 week we had 15 out. You know what I mean? And that's tough. That's a big portion. And that's with guys going both ways and stuff like that, it's hard to fill in those spots. And the way we've kind of done stuff and, not having all the kids with a lot of experience, it's hard to kind of throw in those younger kids that haven't really played the game a bunch. And, it's varsity football is definitely it ramps up the speed much, much more than JV, and JV's much, much more than B team, and B team much, much more than 8th grade. So asking some of those kids to kind of jump in and try to compete with kids that have been doing it for 3-4 years and they've only played a handful of games over their 3 or 4 years, it was tough,
Yeah. One thing I want to tell you, Coach, and commend you for, I'm really impressed with your sideline mannerism and how you conduct yourself with the students.
I have been working on that
with
this
the
year.
athletes. Man, it really showed. We all knew that you're pretty hot. This year I noticed that you're still just as hot. And you really lay in when things need to be laid into. But it really comes from an instructional point of view. I notice. As if you guys don't know, I've been on the sideline all of the home games, so I'm able to watch. And you were mic'd up a few times in a few games. And what impresses me is that there were times where the athletes were the players were coming off the field, and I thought, man, it's really going to lay in this. I mean, there's just no way, Render's popping a blood vessel over here. This is not going to be pretty. And you're just like, okay. And what I noticed over the course of the season is that you never lay into a kid for their ability. Right? You accept what their ability is. And that's impressive. You don't really, as odd as it may sound, you don't find that all the time. You would lay into someone for not knowing the play, for not being in the right spot. Sometimes for, what did I just tell you? Like literally, what I told you not to do, you did, right?
And my thing, and I've said it all the time, like I understand that there's times that I look like an absolute lunatic on the sidelines, but I do not, in general, yell at the kids. You know what I mean? Like that's really not my thing. And honestly, and I will say this, and I will say this till my dying day, when I go ballistic on a referee, when I do that, it's because I know I'm right. I know you're wrong and I know I'm right. And it doesn't matter at that point because what they say is what goes, and they're never going to change their mind on something I say. But for the most part, like, and you'll see, and I'm sure you kind of saw it a couple times in the sidelines where they'll throw a holding penalty on us, and the ref will come over and like, you could tell he's waiting for me to yell. And I'm like, oh no, I saw it. We definitely yelled. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, no, I appreciate that because that was definitely it was an effort this year to kind of like calm down and not be as maniacal and, stuff on the sideline. So I appreciate it.
Second season in Boulder City. What are the biggest differences between your players in Illinois and your players here in Southern Nevada?
I think it's just kind of the experience, and I think that's something that we're actually going to talk to the kids a little bit on Monday is, we're now 2 years in. I kind of told the kids that are sophomores this year when they came in, I'm a freshman with you guys. We're kind of going to go through this where there's a plan to kind of get the program where I want it to be. After this year, we are definitely ramping up what we're doing. The expectations are going to be a little bit higher. It's not going to be everybody's a football player. Not everybody is a football player.
Right.
It doesn't matter, kind of what you've done in the past or who you are and stuff like that. It's to be a successful team, to be a championship level team, and that's where we want to go. There's certain things that need to be done, and there's sacrifices that need to be made. It's not, we're no longer accepting the guys that just want to wear the jersey and be on the sidelines on a Friday night. You can be our water boy. There's going to be, we're meeting with the kids, and there's going to be a set standard to be a varsity football player. That doesn't mean if you don't do that stuff, you can't play football. You just can't be on the varsity team.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and we'll kind of ramp up with like the younger kids and things like that. And it's going to be, you've got to make the varsity football team. Nobody is guaranteed a varsity spot. If you are a junior or a senior, if you're a junior and you can't cut it varsity wise, you'll play JV again, get that experience. If you're a senior and you're not going to be able to help us on the team and do the things that we're asking of you to do, you're going to be asked to not be a part of the team. You can be a manager, you can do that, but we're not going to have just anybody out there anymore, And I think it's one of the things that we've talked about, and Coach Ruth sent me a bunch of stuff, and I've really gotten into it with the coach at New Mexico. Their thing is earned, not given, where starting the week after the season ends, you start to earn your spot on varsity. And if you do that, awesome. If you don't, that's also your choice, but awesome. Don't expect to be with us on the Friday nights then, if that's the case.
Yeah, for sure, man. I totally know where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it. Right on, Coach. Well, thanks. I know we've got some players, right? You brought your captains with you?
We brought the captains. So all five of these guys were voted on by the players early in the year. A couple of them ended up getting named a little bit later and I forget who at this point now, but were coaches' selections. And these guys, when it boiled down to it, these are 5 kids that I think really represent who we are and what we want of a football player here in Boulder City.
Yeah.
All of them played, throughout all 4 years. Is that right? All 4 years? Yeah, that's what I thought. And, they're the kids that all 5 of them kind of lead in different ways. And when we had all 5 of them on the field together, it was magical, and they're kids that I really enjoyed being around and looked forward to seeing every day. You know what I mean? And our captains for the year were Easton Wellborn, Gage Hopkinson, Devin Barrow, Cooley Campbell, and Sam Bonner. So you're going to get to talk to all 5 of them. Don't ask them anything difficult, please.
No, I'll try not to.
A lot of yes/no questions.
I'll try not to. You got
and
it.
if Sam just grunts, that means yes. So we're good with that.
Right on, man. Thanks, Coach. All right, who's coming up first?
Easton's coming up, so we got to help him.
Joe is the grunter.
My hat on right? I have a crooked head, so if I put my hat on just like normal, it's crooked because my head's crooked. So if my cap feels good, I know that my What's up, Easton?
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, man. So tell me what happened. What's you're wearing this brace? Tell me about, you got injured. Which game did you get injured in?
Mater.
The Mater
So
game.
Week 4 or
four.
5? 5?
I don't know.
One of those weeks.
yeah.
So what were your stats looking like before you got injured, before we talk about that?
I had 10 touchdowns, 400 receiving yards, and then total I probably had like around 600. But I probably had I think I only had 17 to 20 receptions, so actually probably 25. But yeah, it's unfortunate because the play that I got injured before, I just caught a 50-yard catch, and then I got a jet sweep call. So I just hike it, get the ball, and I see a lane, so I just cut back inside. And when I cut, I just heard it pop, and I just fell and fumbled the ball.
Oh, really? So tell me about that, because I don't know is it painful?
It's not painful. It's just when it happens, because you just feel a pop, and it's just it's almost a weird feeling.
Does it stop working?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I just fell.
Yeah, because you just fell, right?
Yeah, and when
That's wild.
And my dad always yells at me because my dad's a coach. So when I fumbled it, because I fumbled twice before that, he always tells me to hold on the ball. So I fumbled it, and I'm coming off the field hopping. He's like, hold on to the damn ball. And I'm like, I just tore my ACL. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, you didn't. You're fine. And then turns out, yeah, I tore my ACL.
Yeah, right on. I'm going to hold this closer to you. There you go. So, yeah, man, that's wild. So you came off, and then you knew it was your ACL? You thought right off the bat?
Yeah, because I just felt the pop right here. And, I mean, I've never felt a pop like that because I've minor tore my meniscus on this one, and it didn't feel like that. So this one was just a loud pop, and it just felt like a rubber band popped off.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So then what? So now you just had it. You just had surgery.
I just
had
had surgery last week on Tuesday.
Okay.
And we're just doing PT, hopefully getting ready for college.
Yeah, gotcha. What about the rest of the school seasons? I know you're a 3-sport athlete. You play basketball usually in the winter, and then you play volleyball in the spring. What are those looking like this year?
So basketball is a no-go. I can't play basketball, but I'll still be with the team and travel with them. And then volleyball, depending on how good I do in PT and how good my progress is, then I'll do possibly play volleyball, depending, maybe senior night or something. But I don't want to come back too soon and re-injure it because I'm planning on playing in college. So
for sure, right on. Let me think. I had another question about the injury. When you came off out of the game, was there a couple of weeks later? Is it possible to play on a torn ACL? Someone had told me you were contemplating it. Easton wants to play. I'm like, what do you mean he wants to play? How does that even work?
So I tore it the Mater game, and then I watched the Durango game, and then I think it was what was after Durango?
Durango was then Milwaukee.
Oh, Moapa, and then we played Virgin, and then Gage would come back Depok. So my plan was tape it up, play against Depok, but then I don't know. I just thought maybe it's not a good idea because I was just second guessing. I mean, I would have loved to go play with Gage again.
The doctors told you it was a bad idea.
Well, the doctor said
really bad
the doctor
idea.
said he doesn't recommend it, but that doesn't mean I can't. Because I ran on it, taped it up, and it felt fine. I mean, I wasn't 100%, but do a couple plays.
Man, we're gonna miss you in basketball. You were super high energy, or you are super high energy, and Coach Ballister spoke highly of you in our interview. He was like, "Yeah, Easton Wellborn." I remember specifically because if you guys watch basketball, this team had Easton Wellborn, and then you're coming in behind you was Troy Higley.
Troy.
Man, what a duo, man! What a horrible defensive night for anybody to go against you guys, because you guys are so fast. Your hands are long. So yeah, man, I know Coach Ballister is gonna be missing you this season for basketball. Have you talked to him?
I have talked to him.
Yeah. What's that about? What's he say?
He just told me to. He just said that it's tough that I can't play for him because I'm a good player, and that he's gonna miss me out on the court, and just to heal fast.
He's
Said
a
come
good
back.
dude.
Yeah.
So what's your plans for college? So you say you're gonna play. You're planning on playing in college. What are you thinking? What are you gonna try and do?
Well, I'm
goals?
definitely gonna try and play some football.
Okay.
I don't have any offers yet, but I have a few interests, like maybe possibly SUU or Utah Tech, hopefully.
Right on.
But honestly, as long as it's not too far, I'll go play. I don't really mind, but preferably like just around Nevada, like just around it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, something nearby.
Yeah.
Right
Something
on,
I
man.
can go play
Well,
on.
good luck to you, man. I really like watching you play. I'll go through the highlights and get those over to your parents, as many Easton Wellborn highlights as I can find. There's quite a few.
Okay.
So that'll help you out, from last season especially, and some from this season. So
Okay.
right on. Hey, let's go to the sponsors ad, since it's going to take Easton a minute to get off. I think it's the media either opening file or media file. You just hit the eyeball.
The Boulder City Sports Network is sponsored by Superior Builders, Inc. of Nevada, building spec residential and commercial with our investment partners for nearly 20 years. Contact Aaron at sbinevada.com for more information. And the I&I Music and Podcast Studio. If you're interested in using the studio, you can contact Dawn at iandimusic.studio. And EV Park, revenue-generating charging stations for apartments, hotels, offices, and short-term rentals. Contact sales at evpark.com to find out how your property can generate a new income stream. The Boulder City
Good. Here we go. Live mics again. Cooley Campbell, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you,
Thanks
sir?
for coming on the show. I'm great, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's talk about the dreads first, man, because I've been meaning to ask you about the dreads. You've had them for a couple of years. How long have you been growing those?
I think about 8 years since
Stuff.
since 5th or 4th grade. around that
Right
time,
on, man.
yeah.
You had this in the 5th grade. You're like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to
They
do.
didn't look the same though.
No,
They
I get it.
They
I get
started
it.
off up here, but they got some growth time now.
Yeah. Did your friends give you a hard time when you were trying to grow them out, like the early years?
Well, honestly, they didn't really recognize me.
Mm-hmm.
I came back kind of one day and just had the hair, and it took a minute for everybody to realize it was even me, but I didn't get too much slack about it. It was definitely an odd look.
Yeah.
But
I would have liked to seen you in the 5th grade, man, when they're
Yeah.
just like the little butt weak things right here.
Well, I wasn't this pretty back then.
I
either.
gotcha, I gotcha.
I used to be a little bit chunkier.
I'm going to
But,
go look for your 5th grade school pictures and some yearbooks and see if I can find,
I'll make sure you get one.
see what that look is, man. That's pretty dope.
But I kind of just embraced it and
Yeah.
stuck with them. It's kind of like hard work, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, I really dig them. So tell me about your football game, man. You're a beast.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're not the biggest guy on the field, but man, you play like you're the biggest guy. And those kids out there on the opposing teams, they feel it, man. Tell me about your game.
I think that's just one of the main things that football is about, is coming with energy and coming ready to play. And I think that's what really makes a good football player, or at least one of the main aspects that adds to a good football player is believing in yourself and being ready to attack the other team regardless of their size, regardless of what they supposedly have, because at the end of the day, that doesn't really mean anything. It's how you perform in the game, and a big part of how you perform is mental, So I think that's one thing I try to prepare for before games is composing myself, and I watch film too. I like to get a good read on the other team, pick out their weaknesses, and that's where you can really get an advantage. So I think just preparation and being a bigger guy than the person in front of you, believing that you're a bigger guy than the person in front of you goes a far way.
Yeah, man, you certainly did. Like, you totally had that thing where I don't care who's in front of me. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you, and I'm knocking you over. And a lot of times you did. Most of the time you did. The thing I like about you too, Cooley, is every time I saw you on the sideline, no matter what the game was, the beginning of the game, middle of the game, we got this. We're going to win this.
Yeah.
We're in this. I mean, your attitude was always, like I said, high energy, but also positive. And you always went in to win the game, where I can't, I won't be able to say that about all the players on the sideline, but you definitely were all in every game to win.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I would agree to that statement. There's definitely some kids that I've seen that aren't in it to win it every game. And I think the problem stems from not believing in themselves. Like I stated earlier, you have to believe that you're bigger than the guy in front of you. And a lot of times I've seen some of the guys around me who love football, they're passionate about what they're doing, and they want to go out there and win, but they don't necessarily believe that they can always.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of been eating at us for the past 4 years, not just on varsity, but through all levels. And I've grown with these guys, and the improvements that I've seen in each player that I've played with is crazy, honestly. And I've played since youth, so coming in my freshman year, I have played since I was just a little kid, and I was very well furbished with what I was doing. I knew where I was out there, and that was not the case for everybody else. But as the years passed, I seen kids that weren't necessarily aggressive in the first place, weren't athletic, and didn't have any interest in sports, go from that to, honestly, animals on the field. And it's been great to watch. It's been great to grow around these guys.
Yeah, you're very well spoken too, man. Right on, I appreciate it. Yeah, so why don't you tell me like where you developed that from? Because like you said, some of the kids don't have experience. I mean, do you think? Let me ask you this way: do you think that it's because they don't have experience in football and they haven't gotten that confidence, or do you think it may be something else at home, or they don't have that in them? And maybe it's not just football. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think probably a mix of both. There could be an aspect of, you could say, oh, that guy doesn't have it in him, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think you can pull that fight out of anybody. I mean, it's hard. I can't say that I've been completely successful in doing that with the guys around me, but I try.
Yeah.
But more than anything, that football experience and being able to grow up in that atmosphere does a lot for you. And that's why I'm very happy with Coach Bubba and his football program. You interviewed my younger cousins and my younger brother a couple weeks ago. Just that whole scene is great. I'm out there every Saturday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm out there on the field coaching the younger boys, helping the younger boys. And just seeing this fire in their eyes is great. I feel like it's what our program really needs. You know, there's some younger guys I want to even call out by name, Butterball and Rufus, and those boys, more than just skill players that look good, those big linemen that want to hit somebody and protect their QB and move the ball. That's what we need, because we lacked that coming into freshman year, and that's been a thing that we've lacked for a long time, is kids that are well furbished into football, and this youth football program is going to be what changes that. This program that we're building up for multiple levels too. It's not just, oh, we have one team. There's all different age groups, flag, boys, girls, and that's going to just elevate the football scene and the whole sports scene in general. Everything that we can do to get younger kids into the athletic system at a young age and allow them to grow up in it is going to help our community and is going to make us grow as a school, sports-wise.
Yeah, right on. I really like the point that you made about believing in yourself, because we saw that on this team. You know, when Gage went down, there was a certain percentage of players who were like, oh, man, that stinks. Why? Because they believe in Gage. Yeah. And when Easton went down, oh, that's even worse because they believe in Easton. But what you're saying, I like, because, hey, you got to believe in you, too. It's not just them. You got to believe in you and them and this guy and coach.
The coaches and, you know, some of the players on their team, because, believe me, there's been numerous talks amongst the coaches, amongst us players, of how can we change the season? How can we fix the mindset? And it's been a struggle. You know, there's been moments where you see it come through and we gel as a team, and then we take a big loss one week and it seems like we're starting over. And the injuries and stuff didn't help either, but just as rambling, I lost my point.
No worries, man.
But back to where we started with having faith in yourself and not just relying on the guys around you. It did seem like we lost out a little bit, and we had glimpses of coming back, and, you know, guys kind of started to fill their spots, but we just weren't able to rebind. We weren't able to glue together as a team completely.
Yeah.
Once we lost our main guys. And I wouldn't even say main guys, it's football is a team sport.
Yeah,
so
for sure,
we
man.
win and lose depending on every player that we have. It's an old time saying, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So, but when we lost those guys, it felt like our weak links that initially weren't that weak. Honestly, everybody would, because that energy, the energy and the momentum and the belief that you can move forward as a team gets you a far away. But once we lost Gage, and especially once we lost Easton, you just seen that leave in some of the guys, and that's when your weak links, or the guys that you're relying on to step up and fill those positions that you thought you were gonna have all-stars in at the beginning of the season, but turns out that's not the case, and you need guys to step up. They were already out of it mentally, and they took themselves out. And I think that's one thing that the younger kids that we can address moving on in the future is because football is a rough sport. It's hard. Kids are going to get injured, and you're going to have to deal with problems like that. Guys are going to have to step up. But just getting that firm belief in these kids at a young age that they are just as good as anybody else. And that, it's up to them to determine how well they are going to play on the field, and the work that they do off the field is going to get them to that point. And not just watching the guys on the field do it, because that's fun. As a little kid, everybody likes going to the games, but what can I do to get to that point? And I can be there.
Yeah.
I can be that guy on the field that's making that play right now, and keeping that mindset all the way through high school.
Man, I love the attitude. It's going to take you far in life.
Thank you.
So what are you thinking about doing after high school? What are your goals? What are your plans?
I'm a family guy. I just want to have a loving family. But,
Beautiful, man. I love it.
I'm thinking, in terms of work-wise, probably go to college. Nothing sports-related. I love sports. Grew up around sports. It's molded me as a person, but it's never been something that I was raised to rely on.
What kind of stuff do you like outside of sports?
Outside of sports, I love music and drawing. I'm an artistic person.
Oh, right on.
And then also doing community work. Like I said, I go out and I help coach the Bears on Saturdays, and I wish I could be out there more, but with school, it's a heavy load. But for work-wise, I'm thinking that I'm going to pursue being a firefighter.
Right on.
But I also have some good offers from colleges right now for education, so kind of weighing that out, and I'll definitely want to be able to be an entrepreneur when I'm older, get some college in business and accounting so I know how to work with money.
Yeah.
And set myself up because, like I said, I want to have a big family, be able to have my time at home, not have to work too old, and be set up for the future.
I'm sure you're going to get all of that, man. I can't wait to meet your big family. Thanks for
Appreciate
coming
you.
on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. See you, Cooley.
See you, sir.
What do we got next? Sam Bonner.
Yep.
Man, it took like 18 guys to take you down a few times. Yeah, it was. Big Sam, man. Tell me, what did you like about playing running back?
Probably just having all the glory, being able to finally carry the ball. I've been a lineman for the first 2 years of varsity, so
Yeah.
being able to be the guy back there instead of being the guy in front of him was pretty nice.
That's the
for a
dream.
change. Yeah.
That is the dream. Really, that is every football lineman's dream, is to carry the ball one day. Watch what I can do with the ball, coach. You got that opportunity. What were your stats running? What were your final numbers? I mean, the season's not over yet, but what do you got so far?
I think I have around 300 rushing yards. I think it's like 284 or something
Right
like
on,
that.
man, yeah.
And like 90 carries around there. I don't know.
Yeah. You're going to
Not
be
too
carrying against Pahrump next week too, right?
Yeah.
Later this week?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah, I
on.
will.
Yeah, man, go ruin their dreams. That'd be
Yeah.
great, man.
No home playoff game for them.
Yeah, I hope you get that. So tell me what you learned about running back. I know in the very beginning of the season you were kind of learning your way through it, hitting the gaps, putting your head down, keeping your head up. A lot of things we talked about on the coaches show and in the football games. How did it go for you? How did you see it?
So I learned that the line does a lot more for the running back than I thought.
Amen, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just running the ball is way harder without the big guys out there, but they're doing their job so far. they're doing a really good job for me.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. In the beginning, you would put your head down and kind of power through. And then in the middle of the season, you started keeping it up and getting sometimes 6, 8, 9 yards after the carry. What did you change about your running game in the middle of the season there?
I think it just came down to experience with running it. Like I've never ran the ball before this year. So at the beginning, I was just using my size and wasn't really looking for any holes to run through. And then like 4 or 5 games go by and I'm getting a little experience, and then up until now I'm like, at least I'm seeing some gaps now, and I'm able to read my linemen and run off their rear end like around there, and it's really helping out.
Yeah.
Experience.
Did you ever run into somebody? What's your favorite hit you put on somebody this season?
Probably I'll probably say a slam game. Their linebacker, like our line was blocking amazing during the slam game, and their linebackers are like the size of my legs, so they were terrified to hit me. So I was running up, and they would just go for my ankles, and it wouldn't even feel like anything, really, and just hitting them was really satisfying, especially after the game when they were doing all that stuff. And
Yeah, for sure.
it's very satisfying to put that on them.
What happened at the end of the game there?
There's like this trend going around. It's like this BTA thing, and they like grab a towel and they like whip you, and like I didn't feel them hit me or anything, but I was walking past them and I turned around and I saw them hit my quarterback, and I was like, I don't really stand for any of that stuff, or I'm not gonna take anything from anybody. And I turned around and they saw him doing it, and I just walked up to him and gave him a couple words, and my team came up and backed me up and stuff, and
Just weren't
rest is
having
history.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna have it.
Yeah.
I said that from the beginning of the year. That trend started before the football season started. So I was like, I said from the start, like, if this ever happens to me, I'm not gonna let it happen, and I didn't. So
Yeah, right on, man.
yeah,
I respect that for sure.
Yeah.
So what are your plans after high school?
So I'm getting a couple looks, same as Easton. Like I went to Utah Tech with him. We went on like an unofficial visit. We just checked out the school, checked out the field, everything about it. And SCU, that's another possibility. But those two colleges are really the only ones that are. I don't really know about any others yet, but those are like the 2 main ones.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I get any other offers, I'd go play football. I love it. But as of job-wise, I'd probably go for EMT firefighting and fire science. I just need to find somewhere that would want me for football, and that would be ideal.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah, you have that fireman size too.
Yeah.
You know, it's a crazy story, but a few months back, it was in the summertime actually, there was this older lady who had fallen out of her, those motorized wheelchairs that they have, and she had fallen out, and she was on the side of the road, and so I was driving by, and I jumped out of my truck. I tried to help her, man. I felt so weak, I couldn't help her back on her seat.
Yeah.
And then BC Fire Department showed up, and this dude about your size, maybe a little bigger, I don't know his name, but he has these big handlebar mustache. This dude just went up. He's like, what? Put her back in her seat.
Yeah.
I was like, man, yeah, you remind me of that dude.
Thank you.
And I was like, whoa. Yeah. Anyway, I was kind of helpless.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, good luck to you, man. And oh man, I had another question. Now I forget about it, man. Oh, your parking space turned out really cool.
Oh,
Your
thank you.
Rams,
You like the Rams?
We're working on that on Sunday. Yeah, Rams.
That's my thing.
Yeah, right on. That's your team. All right, I can't remember my other question, man. But good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Respect, brother.
Thank you.
Who's next? Gage. I'm still live? Hot mics. What's up? Gage Hopkinson, quarterback. How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, man, my first question, what happened on that play that went out? You tell me from your perspective.
So,
I've heard everyone else's perspective.
Pretty sure it was double trap, and the hole opened up wide open, and it was there. So I just took off, and I was just trying to get a couple extra yards. I don't know why, and I got pushed out of bounds and just lost my footing and went to go flip on my back and just landed right on top of the shoulder, and I felt it right as I landed.
What did it feel like?
It just felt like an internal crack. I knew something wasn't right, and then I put my hand in there to feel it. And I could feel the bone just sticking up. I could feel it, the drop off. I could feel a point, and it dropped right off. And I was like, that's not right. That's not right.
Good, man.
I was like, that's not right.
Was it painful? Was it like sharp pain or anything like that?
I think the adrenaline was still rushing from the game, and it was just, I didn't feel it until I got to like the hospital to check out X-rays wise, but other than that, I didn't feel it at all.
Did they take you off the cart, off the field in an ambulance and stuff like that?
No. I kind of came off the field or whatever. I mean, I pushed myself up off of it and everything. Like it was fine. Like I didn't feel it, and then until I felt it, I was like, oh, like that's not right. And so yeah, they just put my my jersey like a sling kind of, and I just went to the hospital from there with my parents.
Gotcha. What'd your dad say? What'd your parents say?
They were just kind of like, oh, like this isn't good, like. And then everybody's like, oh, senior season, like, that's... And then we got to the hospital, and they were like, yeah, you're never playing again. And it was like, oh, that hurt. Like,
yeah, but you weren't having that. I talked to you real early,
Yeah.
right afterwards, and you're like, no, man, we're going to do this surgery, and I'm going to get right back on the field.
Yeah, because, like, I went to the hospital. They told me that it was going to be, like, 6 to 8 months of, like, recovery. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. Like, that's not good. And then we went down to the pediatric or whatever, and then he was like, oh, no, you'll be back in, like, 8 to 10 weeks max.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, that's a way better, like,
Yeah.
it's a way better schedule to get back.
Yeah. And your dad, I've heard your dad is like a fitness guy, and like he's really into like
Super
PT
into it.
and
It's like
stuff.
It's his biggest hobby of, like, just staying healthy and fitness,
Yeah.
everything.
So he had you recovering pretty well too?
Yeah, everything. I don't even know how much vitamins I took. It was like a whole cup, and it was like, put them down. And like everything, yeah, just bone broth, collagen, just over and over and over and over. But I think it honestly helped a lot.
Bone broth?
Yeah, bone broth, because it's supposed to help like all calcium and all this stuff.
That's why. There you go. There's a hack.
He's all into that, all that stuff.
Yeah, good on your dad, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you got to come back, and you got
Yeah.
one more game.
game.
Yeah. So you come back. Tell me what you were feeling when you came back in.
So my first game back was Democracy Prep, and I was pretty nervous. Like honestly, I just was like,
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be good, but it was just like that fact of like, it was broke. Like and that feeling is just like you always worry about like, oh, is it gonna break again? Oh, is it gonna break again?
Yeah.
And so I was playing pretty nervous at the start, and so I was gonna go play starting safety, but I talked to my parents the night before, and they were like, you had to play at least a half of football at just quarterback just to see how it feels before you go out there and hit, because he's like.
Sure.
On defense, you're stretching your arms, and it's a different game. Like instead of offense, like if you're gonna take a hit, like at least you're able to embrace or take it different. And so I played that, and I felt amazing. I mean, I got sacked a couple times and ran a couple times, and I definitely was still like super stiff, kind of like like kind of like like afraid to like fully take that hit and take that fall. But after that game, it just loosened all back up, and I felt back to like normal.
Yeah. So I got another question. I'm gonna go back for a second. When you got injured and you came out, who were you thinking should play quarterback? Just out of curiosity, who in your mind
My
was
first
like
thought went to Easton.
Easton?
Yeah, first.
Oh
thought.
yeah. Well, Easton was tried first, right, in that Valley game.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I remember being at the hospital and FaceTiming someone and watching the game through the phone, and then I could just see him. Like, it was funny. It just seeing him back there was just funny, and everybody just telling me like what he said in the huddle and everything. It was just funny. Like everybody's like, yeah, he come in the huddle and be like, all right, I'm running the ball right, block, and they're like, no play or anything. He just kind of tell him like,
Yeah, that's street ball, man.
yeah,
Right on.
like, he
That's
had
cool.
no clue, yeah.
So, when you came back onto the field afterwards, and did you have any any words for Easton or Cam, or like what was going on? And were you trying to coach? Were you trying to help out that quarterback position?
I was trying to help out with like Cam a lot, just kind of like on like what to see, when to see it, like, and because like at least from like my experiences, like you might not like on certain plays you might not throw it to the open route because you don't know it's open. So like it might be open, but you might look at something different because you're not used to like, oh, after this amount of time and like this dude moves this way, it's open right there. If that kind of makes sense. It's like after it gets like it's like usual, like it's like, oh, this is usually open, like I'm gonna look this way, I'm looking off here, so this comes open. But like when it's at the very start and you've never done that before, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, he came in from linebacker
Yeah.
to play quarterback, and probably a good choice. He's got a good arm. I mean, I saw him throw the ball, some really good passes. How do you think Cam did for coming in from linebacker to play
I think coming in
quarterback?
from a linebacker and not playing, like, because like, during the summer he had no, like, reps at quarterback, nothing at all. I think he did pretty good for, like, not having any, like, experience back there with, like, this offense and, like, this group of people this whole summer. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, there's definitely times that improve. There's definitely times that, like, oh, yeah, that's amazing. Like, but it's, like, I think he did pretty good for him coming in just out of nowhere and being like, all right, time to play.
Yeah, when you consider that, no
Yeah.
reps in the summertime, he's a linebacker. Yeah, I think you did pretty good
Yeah.
too, man. So what are your plans after high school?
Hopefully go play college football
Okay.
and then get my major in engineering,
Engineering, what kind of engineering?
like a civil engineer.
Civil engineering, right on. Yeah,
Yep.
good, man. That's good. What colleges are you thinking about? What are you looking at?
I don't have any colleges right now. I mean, like I have a couple like I'd like to go to, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of just close in Utah, like Utah Tech, SUU. Just all like those Utah schools are always
Yeah,
cool because
yeah.
they're close and like closer to home. But I have nothing yet.
Cool, man. What are you looking forward to in this last game against Pahrump? What are you going to try and do?
Just leave no regrets. Just play everything. Like, don't take any plays off. Just it's the last game. Like, just give everything I have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's my last time going to be on a high school football field. Like, I'll miss it, but everything I have and go all out.
Who's your go-to guy now? Easton's on the bench with torn ACL. Who do you like when you look out on the field and you're about to throw the ball? Who do you depend on most?
It really depends on like the route or like the play.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain people are like better like secure catches for certain routes and like better go up and get the ball type people.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just depends on what the play.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it varies back and forth.
Yeah. What do you think about Parump's defense? Have you scouted them at all?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of film. I think there's definitely a lot of plays we could run that will be able to get open, and a lot of concepts that we will be able to work against them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll be able to move the ball for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, all you guys are really well spoken, man. Thanks, Gage.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work.
Dev, come on up.
Oh man, you know what? I forgot to talk about Sam's other sports.
Yeah.
Sam wrestles too, right? Devin,
Yes.
how you doing, man? Devin Barrow.
Yep.
Nice
How
to
you
see you. Good, good. Have a
for having
seat.
me
Make
on.
yourself at home. Yeah, thanks for coming on. All right, so what's your position, Devin?
I play right guard, and then I'll play a little bit of nose tackle and D tackle for defense.
Yeah, you guys did a good job this season.
Thank
You know,
you.
it started off rough. I'll be honest, and
Yeah.
I'm always looking at the line, and the line's got to be the toughest guys because the linemen are the only people that are going to engage in tackling every single play.
Yes.
Right. Some guys get off plays. You know, sometimes nothing happens, and some safety. You know, sitting back there the half the game, but the linemen, they're hitting somebody every single play. It's hard to do. Do you like it?
Oh, I love being a lineman. You know, sometimes I'll be sitting there like wishing I can run a route, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting here. I'm with my brothers on the line, and I don't think really there's any other place I'd want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
the only lineman with a catch this year.
Yes,
Oh, you got a catch.
I got a reception this year.
Nice. Congrats, man. Congrats. See that? What was that? Did you run a route?
No, so we were playing up against Mawapa,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe they sent some guys out on the outside, and they tipped the ball as Cam was about to pass it. And I'm sitting there looking for the ball, seeing where it's at, and I see it flying, and I'm like, I'm taking it. It's mine. And I dove for it, caught it.
Nice, man.
Almost 1 yard on it, but
Nice, man. Right on.
yeah.
Yeah, listen, when you were talking about the line, I agree with you. The camaraderie between 5 or 6, 7 linemen, all shifting and all working together. It's a fun thing
Yeah.
when you see a good line working together. Do you guys ever hang out? Did you guys ever after school and stuff like that?
Yeah, so a lot of the times, me and a few of the linemen, Dylan Rushak, Hank Stark, sometimes we'll just go get food after practice, or when we sometimes do film on Mondays, we'll stay after as a line and we'll just watch film, pick out what the defense or what we need to do up against their defense, see it, kind of what they do, just like that we can go up against them. But yeah, no, I don't think it's the line. I don't think we're just a practice and then see you next practice or next season. We really built a brotherhood together, and we'll take that anywhere realistically.
Yeah, that's so important for the O-line, man. It is to have that
Yeah.
after school, before school, that friendship thing going on, because now after playing so many games, you have to have that instinctual, where my guys are going to be.
Yeah.
When we're going left, going right, we're splitting something, when we're shifting, picking up tackles, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost got to be instinctual.
Yeah.
So yeah, that group hanging out together is super important.
I kind of feel like, especially since we do hang out a lot, kind of like you just said, we kind of do feel where we need to be, and it's not sometimes it's like, hey, I need to see where this guy's going on this play, and most of the time it's, I know what you're doing. I can kind of feel it.
Yeah.
We're working together. We know what we need to do, how we need to do it, and let's try to get the job done.
Was there a game this past season? It's not over yet, but was there a game that stands out in your mind as your favorite game, your favorite play?
I'd say this past week against Slam was probably my favorite game. The line, I feel like we just probably played one of our best games the entire season. We were pretty much all on the same page. If somebody had a question, we went and talked to Coach Bradshaw about it. Hey, we need to fix this, or they're doing this. Let's try to work around this. But I really feel like the Slam game we did really good. And we all felt it definitely on the field that, like, this is our last home game. We need to bring everything. So, and I feel like we really hit that one.
Yeah, right on, man. What about defense? You like playing defense better or offense better?
I'm more of an offense kind of guy, but I still do not I do not dislike playing defense. I'll play defense every play if they wanted me to. So after, a few of our starters got injured, I was put in a little bit at nose tackle, D tackle, and I was just kind of trying to do what they needed me to, whether it was just clog the gap or go after the quarterback. Still in my mind, I'd prefer the offensive line, but I will not hesitate to hop in on the D line, especially when they need me.
Yeah. We don't always give a lot of props to other teams, but if we're going to, what team was most impressive that you faced this past season where you thought, man, that's a good team, or that was a good running back, that's a good, they deserve the win?
That's kind of tough. I would just say against, like, speaking strictly on their D line, I would probably say first one that comes to mind is probably Virgin. They were a tough team. We tried to handle their D line as best as we could, but they had some big guys, and that was just kind of, we just kind of had to make those split second decisions, try to fix what we weren't getting. But Virgin definitely had a line that we needed to try to do our best to defeat.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good habit to just give respect to, even if it's a rival or something. Even in life, always just respect people that are good at their job, good at what they do. And I'm glad you picked Virgin, because I always like the rural schools better than the other schools in our division. I like Virgin, Pahrump, and some other one. I forget what the other one is. Who cares? But anyway, right on, man. What are your plans after high school?
Right now, I'm looking more towards college. I don't really think I'm going to do anything sports-wise, but I'm looking more towards college, doing something in computer engineering or cybersecurity. Really just technology.
Yeah, cybersecurity, man, that's big.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I know I'm constantly running into things like cybersecurity. I own a few businesses, and so we're always shelling out. And the latest thing seems to be cybersecurity. Secure this, secure that. Don't get hacked, and it's a big thing. So that's good. I'm glad to hear you going into something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, computer engineering too. I think there's a lot of opportunities in that space. But security wise, there's a lot of upside on cybersecurity. Yeah, for sure. Right on. What college are you thinking of?
Right now, I'm looking at Embry-Riddle, their location in Prescott, Arizona.
Okay.
I'm looking a little bit towards UNLV, UNR. I don't really want to go too far, just kind of near Nevada, but I'd prefer to go out of state.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. UNR is good too. We've been up there. It's a really nice campus. We know a lot of kids that have gone there and still going there now. And UNLV is good too. My daughter goes to UNLV.
Yeah.
Different experience, it's Vegas, but if you're from Boulder City, then that's an experience. Like, oh man, these people are crazy, and they kind of are. Anyway, right on. Good to meet you, Devin. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Got any more players? Is that all the players?
That's everybody.
All right. Well, can you take me to my camera? All right, so this is the Coach's Show. This is the final sign-off. Sorry Felsie couldn't be. You guys got me tonight. Thanks for following us. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks to the players and the coaches and everyone who participated. Coach J.J. Christian and Matthew Felsenfeld, they called the games, the Boulder City High School home games. They did a fantastic job, I think. One thing we we did a lot of new things this season, and I appreciate you guys' support. We were just trying to get better every show, every week, and so same as the team. I remember at one point I was talking with Coach Bubba during the season, and we were texting, and I said, hey, you know, we're going to do this tonight, and we're going to do that tonight. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. And I said, hey, we're trying to get better every week. And his reply was, same. So I appreciated that. I'll never forget that text. It was just the same. It was a tough season. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for playing, and all the players. I know we only had the captains. We couldn't get everyone on tonight. So I appreciate everyone who played and everyone who watched, all the supporters or fans. And I think that's all I got. Did I miss anybody? Luke Rodriguez handling camera at the football games, and tonight he's doing the producer duties. I'm Don Rodriguez, your host and producer, executive director of the Boulder City Sports Network. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next football season.
The Boulder City Sports Network is sponsored by Superior Builders, Inc. of Nevada, building spec residential and commercial with our investment partners for nearly 20 years. Contact Aaron at sbinevada.com for more information. And the I&I Music and Podcast Studio. If you're interested in using the studio, you can contact Dawn at iandimusic.studio. And EV Park, revenue-generating charging stations for apartments, hotels, offices, and short-term rentals. Contact sales at evpark.com to find out. The Boulder City